Okay, so mine's going to be a lot different and not as lighthearted, but I feel that this is something that I should share. So in 2008, I was with my high school sweetheart. We were together all 4 years, and he was the love of my life, or so I thought. And his name was Chris. And 2 days after I graduated high school, my mom didn't like this guy because I was so in love with him that I just felt like my mom was just a hater. But 2 days after high school and after high school graduation, I went and got married. I didn't tell my mom. I hid it from my mom, and I lived with my mom. So it was kind of me and him one day saying, like, oh, we have $50. Like, let's go get married at the courthouse. So we did. About a month later, I was in the living room and I started throwing up, didn't feel good. So he ended up coming picking me up, and I went to Planned Parenthood and I found out I was pregnant. So I went home and I told my mom that I was pregnant, and I gave her this piece of paper that showed like how many weeks I was and said that it was positive, and I handed it to my mom. My mom was like, Krista, it's not April. Like, this isn't April Fool's. And I had to like convince my mom, convince her that I was truly pregnant. Like, I was crying and I was like, Mom, no, it's real, it's real. My mom lost her mind. And I told her, but I got married and I was married. Like, this was planned. So long story short, she ended up kicking me out. So at 18, I was pregnant. She begged me to get an abortion. I refused to. I was like, nope, this is my baby. I love this man. I'm doing it. I had a job at In-N-Out, and I only worked there like 20 hours a week. So not the best money. Never been alone, like on my own. We ended up getting a apartment. Fast forward, 6 months went by, and then I ended up having the baby because I moved out when I was a few months pregnant. So one day my daughter's dad came home and he was acting himself. And I didn't know what was going on with him. He had been like pretty verbally abusive in the past, and I just like kind of allowed him to manipulate my life and change my life. And like, I stopped talking to my mom as much. Like, none of my girlfriends wanted to talk to me because I was just all about him. Um, and I had noticed that he had something in his jacket pocket. It was like a hoodie. And I was like, babe, what do you have in there? Like, I hear like a weird noise. Long story short, it was foil. And I'm like, why do you have foil in your pocket? And why are you acting so weird? And he got in my face. I stood on the couch and started yelling at him. My daughter was asleep in her crib. She was only about, I don't know, 3 months old or so. I was like, if you want to hit me, hit me. And I got like an inch from his face, and I was standing on the couch above him. Well, he punched me in the face. He grabbed me by my hair. He dragged me down the hallway. He hit my face on the toilet. I chipped my tooth. He then dragged me all the way into the bedroom where the baby was, because we only had a 1-bedroom apartment. And he held me down with his knees on my arms, and he had a knife in his hand, and he was going to kill me. I blacked out. I screamed really, really loud. I lived in an apartment. Like, somebody knew something was terribly wrong. Like, if you would have heard me. He had his 2 fingers on my throat to where I blacked out. I thought I was dead, honestly. Like, I just didn't know what happened. All I know is that like, I wake up to, this is the police, open the door. This is the police, open the door. They ended up sending a canine unit in the house and kicking the door down. And my daughter's dad ended up getting away. He jumped off the balcony and rolled on the carport and went and hid in the park slide while the like helicopter, like, they blocked off the whole street. There was helicopters looking for him. My daughter was hysterical in her crib crying. when I was woken up by the police. I got my daughter, they put a coat around a police jacket because it was cold around my daughter and I, and had us go sit in the police car and wait for the chaplain to talk to me. This is really scary to me. I then found out after talking to the chaplain that my husband was smoking black tar heroin. That's why he had foil in his pocket, and it was his first time doing it. And he made some really bad, poor life decisions. We also found a 40-ounce beer underneath the kitchen cabinet that was ice cold and like only this much left in it. So when he was gone, he had like snuck to the liquor store and like drank or whatever he did. I was stupid enough while he was on the run to let him back in my home, instead of turning him into the police. And he ended up holding me hostage from the police. And finally, we were able to get him, and the police came in and got him, arrested him, put him in jail. He got out on bond. I was stupid enough to then let him back in my life again, even though I had a restraining order on him, an emergency protective order that actually the police department like forced me to have. I didn't want it because I was stupid and young. He ended up taking my daughter Mia, our daughter, and leaving, and I didn't know where he was for 14 and a half hours. And my daughter was breastfed, so my daughter wasn't fed, and my daughter didn't have her diaper changed for 14 and a half hours till police found him. My takeaway from this is like, domestic violence is really, really real. Get out if anybody's ever in like even the early signs of abuse, like, being controlling, not letting you talk to your friends, not letting your friends come over, telling you bad things about your own parents, telling you that you're not good enough and like breaking you down. They're all like warning signs, and it's always better to get out like as soon as you can before something like traumatic like what I've went through happened. I now like speak to schools and like women and encourage women like to just get out, say no, it's okay, get help. If I could have like gotten out when I did, my daughter wouldn't have nightmares. I wouldn't have PTSD and have to be on medication now. Like even loud noises like trigger me to get like nervous, anxiety from like him yelling in my face and stuff all the time. And it just, I took full custody of my daughter and moved to Illinois, so she would never have to see him again. So I've had full custody since he went to Wasco State Prison for 5 years for corporal injury to spouse. And I've left that like behind me. But there are a lot of women out there in abusive relationships and that like do struggle, especially mentally, and depend on like a man. And there's so many women that like don't talk about it. They just think that it's normal, controlling. It's because he loves me. He makes me put on a long sleeve shirt and cover up when we go places because he doesn't want other people to look at me because like I'm his everything. And all that stuff is like forms and signs of like early abuse. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel empowered and like to talk to people about it. And it's like, if my story and what I went through, like I have, of course, a long, more in-depth version, but if like my story can like change or inspire other women, that like it's not too late. You're not at fault for taking somebody back 8 times. It's like your last straw. Like once you're out, like it doesn't matter how many times it takes you to get out, like get out. It just feels really good to be able to say that like I'm a survivor of domestic violence. So that's it.
That was really empowering. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. California and their opiate pandemic. It's real. But you know what sucks though? And this is what sucks. You would think like he would get out because he like made that mistake like that one time while he was on drugs. And that's why I always gave him like multiple chances. But now he's out of prison and he's homeless with 2 more kids. His girlfriend gave birth to opiate addicted babies that had to be on like Oxycontin and stuff, and or methadone. They had to go on methadone. The kids were taken away and given to CPS, which is like DCFS. And he's literally like 100 pounds sopping wet and holds signs and is homeless and a heroin addict. So I'm glad I moved.
Drug abuse is real, and a lot of people tend to ignore it and ignore the homeless community, especially with what they struggle with. And as soon as you get out,
with mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
That was really good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. I'm sure, like, I think that'll be very meaningful to a lot of people in the future. You never really know what other people are going through, right?
Yeah.
So, thank you.
All right, I guess I'm the last one.